Believe me when I say that I know the questions on your mind. Who watches The Watchers? That was me. I watched it. Now I'm going to talk about it. This video is sponsored by STREAMYARD. If you're an aspiring content creator but don't know where to start, this all-in-one platform is essential for all of your recording, editing, and publishing needs. And by using our code or following the link in the description, STREAMYARD is giving our viewers $10 off their first month subscription. So what are you waiting for, horror fans? Start creating, streaming, and posting today. Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters. Yes, this is a little bit different today. No Luke, he couldn't make this one, unfortunately, and Warner Brothers is really hitting the bandwagon hard today. Anybody who's been posting reviews with trailer footage, it seems to be getting copyright struck, so I am not even going to touch it. This is going to be a very straightforward video. I'm just going to sit down and tell you guys what I thought of The Watchers. So The Watchers is the feature directorial debut of Ishana Night Shyamalan. She is the daughter of M. Night Shyamalan, and we've seen this quite a bit recently. You know, a couple years back, we had Brandon Cronenberg come out with a film, obviously son of the great David Cronenberg, and then most recently, his daughter Caitlin came out with a film called Humane, which we got to see just recently, so there's a review up on the channel for that. But this was one I was actually really looking forward to because I am not an M. Night Shyamalan hater. I am always down to see what he's going to give us, whether it be for the good or the bad. It's always a mixed bag with him. You never know what you're going to get. Well, I can say that Aisha is following in her father's footsteps in more ways than one. There are some things that I think she did a lot better than her dad as of recently, and there's a lot of things that I really was like, damn, you're just a chip off the old block, aren't you? But no, in all honesty, I thought this movie was fine. This was okay. I was sort of liking the first act a lot more than I think I enjoyed the rest of the film because you were still building a lot of that anticipation. But I gotta be honest, I don't necessarily know if I can put all of my major issues on this film on Aisha's shoulders because I feel like this probably comes from the source material. I'll dive into that in a second. But let me start off with a couple of positives. This stars Dakota Fanning, who we already know. She's a very seasoned actress at this point. She's worked with many great filmmakers and other actors throughout her career, even as a young child to now. And yeah, she does a really great job. I mean, she is our main character. We follow her throughout the entire film. And, you know, she isn't something that's completely like memorable, I would say. Like, she's not somebody that's going to totally be like one of my favorite characters of the year or anything, but she is very serviceable in this film. She has a lot of really kind of emotional moments. She's going through a lot as a character, and that's kind of the whole cusp of this film. I won't get too deep into that because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but this is another one of those movies that is just really like pushing a lot of those like grief emotions kind of horror. And you know, I know some people are sick of that, but I thought that this one, for what it was, had a strong concept to use that kind of framework. We also had the great Georgina Campbell in this. I love seeing her pop back up again. Obviously, we know her from Barbarian. She was also in that film Lovely Dark and Deep that we reviewed. And yeah, I thought that she was just excellent in this. Honestly, like, she was probably my favorite character, surprisingly enough. But only because I think Georgina Campbell just knocks the shit out of the park, dude. She sells her character's meekness so well, and I really couldn't tell at times if she was kind of like leading on, that she knew more than what she was letting our characters know. So I had a lot of fun with her and her character. I also want to say that Aisha knows her way around the camera, which is great because there are some really impressive shots in this. There are a lot of really risky shots in this. I think that, you know, just the concept and the way that they design some of these scenes is really smart. And there's a lot of really fun elements you can play with once we start to kind of get into what our main antagonist or what these watchers are. And I think that she really understood that part of the source material and used it to her advantage. There's a lot of sequences running through a forest, and, you know, there's a lot lot of greens, a lot of dark blues. I mean, it's really a well put together film, and you can just tell that she really has an eye for building that tension and using the camera to assist in building it. And I will say there's a mystery box element to this film throughout the first half, but I do have to applaud them for not leaving you hanging. I think that that's a huge point that I was worried about when I saw the trailer. Is this seems really high concept. This seems like it's going to be something that could be really confusing or just overall not be the most satisfying thing. No, we do fully understand what we're dealing with after a certain point, and it's really cool to see the film kind of shift in that direction. I just think that once we kind of learn all that, things start to move really quickly. And this is probably the best time for me to jump into my negatives. Overall, the biggest negative that I have with The Watchers is just how this story tries to meld its genres. This starts off as a mystery thriller where you're trying to figure out what's going on, why these people are in this box, this room, and what exactly these watchers are. But once you get to a certain point, the tone completely shifts and it turns into a very different movie than what I was expecting. Some of those elements are fine, but I think it leads to a really bland third act and a really cookie cutter third act. And that's kind of unfortunate because I think the thing that I can't say they're tackling here is really gutsy. It's something that I don't think we have a lot of media on, and I think that what they do with it, they do make it really creepy and really effective in certain shots. But it is one of those things to me where once you kind of let the genie out of the bottle, and then you're kind of facing that genie for the last 10 minutes of the movie, there's really nothing left after that. The kind of shock, surprise, and all the buildup that was there, it's gone. So then you kind of realize, oh, okay, this is just, stereotypical story where this is going to happen and then this is going to end like that. And we're going to move on. And I don't know. I mean, there's a part of me that thinks like if this is your directorial debut, especially with something that has this much of a budget behind it and, really has this kind of a cast. And, it's not very often that, first time filmmakers get to play with such big tools in their tool belt right off the rip. I feel like they could have taken a more riskier swing when it came down to it and maybe changed it up. Again, I don't know how much of that comes out of the source material, though, because if she's being faithful to the adaptation, then really there's nothing that she could have done. That's just how the story presents itself. And I just found myself saying at the end of the day, I am happy that I saw this. I enjoyed watching it, but I just don't think this is something I would ever really revisit. My last real major key component to this that was a bit frustrating, I found, was that this is very much marketed as a horror film. It's like a folk horror film. And yeah, it's horror, but it is like the most PG horror that there is. There's really nothing shocking for the concept that they have and what they're dealing with. They could have done a lot more fun with it. They could have had a lot of really great scares. There's some really fun imagery involving a television set and a little DV camera. And I really like that. I wish they would have done more stuff with it. But again, I just felt like overall, when they pulled back from the scares, you could really tell that they were not confident, or they were like, oh, we can't go too hard, otherwise we might get an R rating, which this is the furthest thing from an R rating in my opinion. Like they could have really stretched those legs a little bit, played with those horror elements, and I think that I would have left maybe a bit more satisfied. All in all, I can say that Aisha Shyamalan definitely shows a lot of promise with Watcher. I think that this is something that is not necessarily a red mark already on her report card. She can definitely go forward and maybe tell some darker stories. She's a very competent director. I think that the cast here works really well. The score itself, too, is something that I kind of noticed. There were a couple of tracks in here that I thought were really neat, and they do kind of play into the lore of what we're dealing with. And overall, I think that it's a strong concept that really flounders in the end. And that's really unfortunate. Yeah, that is my review of Watchers. I'm going to give this thing worth a watch. It's going to be kind of a medium worth a watch. It's not something that's like right on the cusp of recommend. But I think if you're interested in this, you're going to go check it out anyway. I think that, again, this is a competent, strong first outing. But there does tend to be a little bit more room to grow there. And I think that really what I want to see Aisha do is find a little bit more of her own voice, because I definitely can see the shell that she's still in cracking. I just need her to bust through and really come out swinging with this sophomore effort. And I think that she'll be on her way, because, yeah, I really think that she's got the bug. She's got something in her. So I am excited to see what she does next. Other than that, guys, we have just been pumping out reviews like crazy. So please check out the channel. We got a lot of stuff on there. And we still have a lot more to come. There's still at least 2 more screeners that we have in our back pocket that we're going to be putting out over the weekend, as well as a new Scenes That Scarred Us, which I'm hoping to have out at the latest by Monday. I just need to really sit down and get the last of it pieced together, and then go through the rigorous process of trying not to get demonetized when I post it. So let's see what happens. But other than that, I am Dylan Newell, and remember, stay scared.
Do the horse shit, gonna do it live. Cause Splattercast kick it every day they live. Splattercast, gonna smash your ass. 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 Splattercast, gonna smash your ass.